For most of last season, Europe laughed at Real Madrid. A club built on domination suddenly looked fragile. No trophies. 4 straight Clásicos lost. Their eternal rivals paraded silverware while Madrid collected wounds. For a team that once lived off fear, humiliation became the headline. But here's the twist. Real Madrid doesn't collapse. It recalibrates. What looked like the end was only a pause. And now, under a new architect, the machine is back online. Faster, colder, sharper. This isn't a rebuild, it's a rebirth. And the rest of Europe? They're already shaking. Every great era in football eventually writes its final page. For Real Madrid, that page was Carlo Ancelotti's. He had delivered everything: Champions League glory, La Liga titles, nights at the Bernabeu that bent logic itself. Under him, Madrid lived the improbable again and again. But football is cruel. Success feeds complacency, and even legends run out of fire. By the end, the atmosphere was heavy. Injuries piled up, arguments simmered, and the energy that once defined the team had vanished. Florentino Perez, the man who never waits for decline to finish its course, made the hardest call: close the cycle. On May 25, 2025, Madrid announced that Carlo's story had ended and a new one had begun with Xabi Alonso. This wasn't just a coaching change, it was surgery. Out with the nostalgia, in with a new spine. The choice was bold, even ruthless, but that's the Madrid way. Better to rebuild in control than to crumble in denial. For the fans, it stung. Ancelotti was loved. He smiled through storms, calmed egos, and brought trophies home. But the club saw what most refused to admit. His Madrid had lost its edge. The pressing had softened, the possession was slow, and even the arrival of Mbappé couldn't mask the fractures inside the dressing room. Something deeper had to change. Xabi Alonso didn't walk into Valdebebas with nostalgia. He walked in with a plan, and that had already shocked the world when he took Bayer Leverkusen, once dismissed as nearly men of German football, and turned them into unbeaten champions. His secret? A system where nothing is casual, where even the smallest pass carries intention. At Madrid, the transformation began immediately. Training sessions weren't about jogging laps or casual rondos. They were measured to the second. Every drill had a purpose. Every sprint a destination. Players quickly realized this wasn't the Ancelotti comfort zone anymore. It was a lab. Alonso demanded intensity, precision, and above all, collective responsibility. If one man was late on a press, the entire structure collapsed, and collapsing wasn't an option. His philosophy is simple to describe, brutal to execute. The ball is not decoration. It is a weapon. Possession must hurt the opponent, not lull them. Build-up isn't about sterile control, but about pulling rivals out of shape and slicing them open with vertical speed. Pressing isn't about chasing, it's about hunting with coordination, trapping opponents until they suffocate. And rest defense? It's calculated, not improvised. The moment Madrid loses the ball, they snap into positions like pieces on a chessboard, ready to win it back before the rival even breathes. The players felt the difference immediately. What used to be a team leaning on individual brilliance was now becoming a machine, each part moving in sync. The message was blunt. Under Alonso, talent alone isn't enough. If you don't run, you don't play. If you don't think, you don't last. It wasn't just tactics, it was culture. The complacency that had seeped in during Ancelotti's final months was gone. In its place stood a new Madrid. Sharper, hungrier, disciplined. A Madrid where names meant less than roles and where every minute on the pitch was earned, not gifted. The blueprint was clear and the squad understood. The rebirth had begun. For years, Madrid's defense had been their silent weakness. Even when results came, the cracks were obvious. Too many last-minute scrambles. Too many nights where Courtois had to play savior. Under Alonso, that weakness didn't just get patched. It was rebuilt into a fortress. In front of him stands the revelation, Dean Huijsen. Only 20, yet playing with the arrogance of a veteran. He doesn't retreat, he advances. He steps into midfield, suffocates strikers with his anticipation, and cuts off danger before it blooms. Watching him is watching a defender who refuses to let opponents breathe. On the left, Álvaro Fernández Carreras has given Madrid something they lacked: balance. Strong in duels, calm on the ball, and relentless in recovering possession. He doesn't just defend space. He turns it into a weapon, pressing high, triggering traps and sparking transitions. On the right, the boldest experiment. Trent Alexander-Arnold. Critics doubted if his style could survive at Madrid. Alonso didn't doubt. He gave him freedom with responsibility. Trent's diagonal passes stretch defenses, his crosses cut lines, and his intelligence forces rivals to respect Madrid's right side in ways they never had before. With Carvajal still present to rotate, the position is no longer a weakness, it's a weapon. The result? A backline that no longer reacts, it dictates. Under Alonso, Madrid doesn't wait for danger. They erase it at its source. This isn't just defense, this is intimidation. If defense is the wall, midfield is the motor. Under Alonso, Real Madrid's engine doesn't just run, it roars with precision. Every gear turns at the right moment, every cog serves a purpose. And when the machine is in motion, opponents feel like passengers in their own stadium. At the heart of it all stands Aurelian Tchouaméni. Signed to be Casemiro's heir, he has now become the immovable pillar Alonso trusts. Under Ancelotti, he looked promising but inconsistent. Sometimes brilliant, sometimes raw. Under Alonso, he is iron. He reads danger before it happens, steps in with authority, and snaps attacks in half with a single interception. He's not just a shield. He's the hinge that allows Madrid to expand and contract without losing shape. Then there's the magic touch. Arda Güler, once seen as a luxury talent, now a conductor of rhythm. Alonso gave him trust, and Güler responded by becoming Madrid's compass. With the ball, he dictates tempo, slowing it when calm is needed, accelerating it when the kill is on. His left foot delivers daggers disguised as passes, breaking lines with angles that only he sees. For a team that once struggled to dismantle low blocks, Güler is the answer. Creativity with calculation. Every revolution needs a scar. For Madrid under Alonso, it came early, on American soil. The Club World Cup semifinal against Paris Saint-Germain wasn't supposed to be a nightmare. It was supposed to be a showcase, Alonso's first big test on the international stage. But instead, Madrid looked raw, unfinished, still searching for chemistry while Luis Enrique's PSG punished every mistake. For some clubs, that kind of defeat leaves cracks. For Madrid, it left a reminder. This is not yet the finished product. Alonso himself admitted it bluntly. This wasn't my squad. No excuses, no sugarcoating, just reality. And that honesty hit the players harder than the defeat itself. If the defense is Madrid's wall and midfield its engine, then the attack is the spear. Sharp, direct, and lethal. And at the very tip stands Kylian Mbappé. He arrived in 2024 as a superstar, but under Alonso, he has become something more. A weapon designed for structure. No longer forced to invent everything himself, Mbappé thrives on timing. One diagonal run, one perfectly weighted pass, and suddenly defenses look like they've been split with surgical precision. 3 games, 3 goals. Already he feels inevitable. But the terror isn't Mbappé alone. To his left, Vinicius Jr. has evolved. Once chaotic and unpredictable, now he is chaos with calculation. His dribbles are sharper, his decision-making quicker, his chemistry with Mbappé more dangerous every week. Where last season they often looked like rivals for the spotlight, this season they look like partners in crime. One drags defenders out, the other attacks the space. One presses the goalkeeper, the other closes the passing lane. Together, they don't just score, they suffocate. What makes this Madrid different isn't just the tactics, it's the culture. Under Ancelotti, the dressing room had hierarchy. Legends, promises, and superstars whose status often outweighed their form. Under Alonso, that order was dismantled overnight. The message was simple. There are no untouchables, only players who prove themselves every week. Training sessions feel like auditions. If you press late, you sit. If you don't recover, someone else takes your spot. Minutes are no longer gifted by name. They are bought with sweat. Even the stars feel it. Vinicius runs harder because Endrick is waiting. Mbappé presses sharper because Rodrigo is pushing. Trent delivers with urgency because Carvajal breathes down his neck. The competition isn't toxic, it's fuel. This isn't hype. This isn't preseason optimism. This is Real Madrid rebuilt, recalibrated, and reborn under Xabi Alonso. A team that once looked fragile now moves like a machine. Pressing as one, defending as a wall, attacking like a storm. Every weakness from last season has been patched with purpose. Every doubt replaced by discipline. Look at the skeleton. Courtois behind a defense that steps into danger instead of retreating. A midfield where Tchouaméni anchors, Valverde accelerates, and Güler conducts like a veteran twice his age. A frontline where Mbappe and Vinicius no longer just scare opponents individually, but tear them apart together. Add in the hunger of Rodrigo, the raw fire of Endrick, the genius of Mastantuono, and the looming return of Bellingham, and suddenly the word depth feels like an understatement. But the real fear isn't the names, it's the system. Alonso's Madrid doesn't wait for miracles, it manufactures them. It doesn't rely on chaos, it organizes it. This team doesn't just win matches, it drains opponents of ideas, of confidence, of oxygen. The kind of dominance that doesn't show up only in the scoreline, but in the body language of the teams they leave behind. Europe is watching, but watching won't save them.